The House is voting on a bill today to avert a possible rail strike. This comes after President Biden urged Congress to intervene. But the rail unions say congressional intervention undercuts their efforts to negotiate. Our next guest represents several of the rail unions involved. We want to bring in Rich Edelman. He's a labor attorney with Mooney Green. Thank you for being here with us today, Rich. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. You rep several unions, some that actually ratified this agreement, others that did not. You want to explain what you're hearing between the two sides?
Well, sure. Thank you for having me on. I do represent several different unions. All rail workers want paid sick leave. They don't have paid sick leave. 86% of American workers have paid sick leave from their employers. All of the unions sought paid sick leave before the Presidential Emergency Board that investigated this dispute. So all rail workers want and deserve paid sick leave. Two of the unions that I represent, their members felt so strongly that they voted against a deal that, otherwise had very good elements in it, but didn't have paid sick leave.
Why did the union leadership agree to a package that did not include that sick leave if it was so important to the members? What happened?
Well, you have to remember that unions are democratic institutions, and on something like a collective bargaining agreement, the members get to vote. And the deal that was developed after the Presidential Emergency Board report had a lot in it that was good for rail workers and was at least enough for the leaderships of these unions to put out and see how their members would react and let them have their say, which is their right under the union constitutions.
But if you look at it, I think some people say, hey, a pay raise of 24% over 4 years, 14% that comes right away, annual payments of $1,000 to everyone. I mean, that sounds pretty rich. Would you go back and renegotiate and say, OK, we'd give back some of those pay increases if we made sure that we got paid sick days?
Absolutely not. And it's not a rich deal. This is a 24% over 5 years. As you play that out, it will basically keep pace with inflation over the 5-year period. So, and the $1,000 lump sum payments are just lump sums. They're not built into the long-term contract, and they will largely offset an increase in healthcare cost sharing that the workers have. Mm-hmm. So that the wage component is fair, it's decent, but it is not enough to say that that we shouldn't have paid sick leave also.
You think inflation is going to run 24% over the next 5 years? I mean,
no, not 24% over the next 5 years, 24% going back 3 and forward 2.
Okay, but going back 3 and forward 2 is like 24% from the economy. I know inflation is incredibly high right now. It's north of 7%, according to the latest CPI, if you're looking at numbers year over year. But we were dealing with a lot of years where we had below average inflation.
Well, but not over this 5-year period. And that, by the way, that's compounded. It's 22% in actual percentages. But if you add the numbers up and you project forward, we've got 2 more years. So this current year is probably going to be, what, 8 something, maybe 9. The out years, the board offered 4% and 4%. Mm-hmm. And let me just stress, the railroads have been incredibly profitable. Over the last 20 years, they've had a 676% growth in their profits, and in $41 billion in stock buybacks since 2016. So the railroads have been incredibly profitable, and during this period, the rail workers have basically just kept pace with inflation. And in fact, we took till about 2020 for the rail workers to get back to 1980 level real wages. So this wage increases are absolutely fair, and they're completely justified. Union Pacific, had 160-year-old railroad founded by robber barons, said it had its best year ever last year.